Pecha Kucha 108, Fivesquid. Uh, it's not something that I should really be involved with, this Fivesquid. It's like a freelance graphic design and voice acting website. We'll get to it when we get to it, but you know, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth, right? So I've read Animal Farm when I was a kid. I thought it was really good. I wanted to reread it. I found it for cheap, surprisingly, in HMV. It's a allegory of Joseph Stalin's rule of Soviet Russia during World War II. And I couldn't quite remember which character was what. And by coincidence, there was this History Buff's Death of Stalin review of the satirical movie directed by Armando Iannucci, or however you say his surname, that came up in my queue at the same time. And I was hoping it would come with some kind of background on Joseph Stalin so I could remember who the key people were in the Communist Party at the time, and to my surprise it did. The guy went on for maybe a good 20 minutes talking about the real Joe Stalin and what he did in his 5-year plans before talking about the movie, which really helped me figure out who was who in Animal Farm. So then he actually talks about the movie, which, surprise, surprise, starts with the death of Stalin. It's bizarrely, it's a satirical comedy. There's a lot of famous British faces in there, a few Americans as well. And if you know who Armando Iannucci is, that wouldn't come as a surprise. This is the kind of thing he does, like the thick of it, the BBC comedy. So, you know, there's a lot of accuracies in the film and a lot of inaccuracies. The guy on the left is like the head of the KGB, and they portray him as a bad guy falsely. He was a bad guy, but the way they show it wasn't quite true. And the thing about history buffs is this guy's got his little presenter, I don't know, avatar, and I was quite impressed not only with the information, but the delivery and the production value. It's not that the production value is high, but it does feel like a slick production. I'm not even sure if I've subscribed, but you know, the video itself is very nice. Right, but anyway, Fivesquid. There's a lot of people prepared to do a lot of good work for next to nothing, and they'll get it to you tomorrow. It's kind of an alarming thing because a friend of my uncle, who's a professional graphic designer, recommended I sign up to this, and it sounded good until I had an actual look at, you know, the details. So you know, you know, click on graphic design, and you know, stuff like this comes up. People will get you like 3, 5, 9, 12 designs in you know, 24 hours, 48 hours for a fiver. And I'm like, how am I going to compete with these people, and why should I compete with these people? This seems like a bad idea. So, you know, I took my designs that I made that weren't really designed to be used, and I put them in a business card PDF, which I found that made them look a bit more professional. But I didn't get any hits because I wasn't expecting to, because I'm you know, I'm offering an inferior service for more money. You know, my graphic designer friend Sean recommended just put them on white backgrounds. And everything here looks off-center because Fivesquid doesn't tell you how big the box is that you're going to put your images in, so you have to guess. They're all perfectly centered in the PSD, but as soon as I drop them in here, I look like an idiot, which is fine because I don't really want people asking me for work. There's a lot of like illustrators and voice actors and stuff on here, and it had me thinking maybe I should be exploiting this from the other side as a buyer, because maybe I can get a lot done for 50 quid or even 100. Something to consider, morally questionable, but from a pragmatic point of view, there might be something to it. Another thing about the way the website's run is I keep getting emails telling me my service is live. I've got 3 this week, and the presumption here is that my service has not been live for an indeterminate amount of time until I get the next email. So it's a good thing I don't want this to work out, because it's a clusterfuck. Speaking of clusterfucks, I finally watched Stanley Kubrick's The Shining from start to end in one sitting. I've never actually done that before. It was thoroughly enjoyable. No, Stephen King's not especially fond of this interpretation of his work, but I'm sold. And of course, it's the Jack Nicholson show. I very much imagine he got the role as the Joker in the Batman movie because of his how he plays the titular character Jack in this. Fabulous. It's Is it a cinematic masterpiece? I don't know. I think it's pretty bloody good. Speaking of pretty bloody good, this Spider-Man game is one of the best superhero games ever made. It's definitely the best Spider-Man game ever made. I didn't want to like it. I had reservations. I just decided to buy it, and I was blown away. It's for me, it's surprisingly good, and the character development is not like it's gonna surprise you if you know anything about Spider-Man, but they pack a lot in, and it's quite touching. If you care for that kind of thing. If you're a Spider-Man fan, this'll hit you in good places. The production value of this game is astonishing. It's ridiculous. They put so much effort into so many little things. Like you can scale buildings and see that the offices aren't just like flat windows. There's actually little rooms in there, and it's things like that I keep seeing. It's ridiculous. It's unnecessary. And the combat is the linchpin of the game, I would say, which makes it the opposite from The Witcher 3. Playing as Spider-Man, both in combat and just getting around New York, is really, really fun. The animation quality and the fluidity of this stuff is phenomenal. The credits are like 40 minutes long because they paid a lot of money to get this game done. Highly recommended, 9 out of 10. And of course, sad clown of the week's got to be Fivesquid. You see a lot of people offering great stuff, well, allegedly great stuff for low prices and very quick turnaround, and this is just a damaging thing for the industry, the design industry as a whole. Now, I don't really have an interest in the design industry, but I have worked in jobs, and it's not an especially nice feeling to know that you can be undercut by people who are more desperate than you, who are therefore prepared to do a better job for less money. It just makes it like a buyer's market. And I kind of thought this would be how art is, but the idea that graphic design, which is used by big businesses and small businesses, would be subject to this kind of thing. It's a bit of a wake-up call. Maybe I should go and get a job at Lidl again. Oh dear. All right. Anyway, that brings us to the end of Pecha Kucha 108, and I'll see you next time.